Hey everybody, it's the Burger Dude, and today I want to show you how I make a honey butter chicken biscuit, but vegan. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this amazing creation, it hails from Texas, from a little place called Whataburger, which is a Texas institution much in the same way that In-N-Out is for California. Now, I'm sure by veganizing it, I'm messing with Texas, but I'm also fairly sure that I'm making a few Texas vegans happy, so it probably evens out. It's also one of the rare meals where the name is literally the components of the sandwich. You got your honey butter, your chicken, and your biscuit. And speaking of biscuits, let's get to making them. So this biscuit recipe is actually an adaptation of one that I saw by Southern Livin'. I'll leave the link in the description for the original. But I basically veganized it and had to tweak a few of the measurements. But the first thing we're going to do is make a vegan buttermilk. So start with some unsweetened plant milk. And then we're going to add some apple cider vinegar. And we're going to give that a stir and then chill that in the fridge. It's going to help it thicken. We're also going to use some self-rising flour. If you don't have or don't want to get self-rising flour, I'll leave a link in the description for an alternative. We're also going to freeze our butter. I froze mine overnight, and then we're going to grate it with a cheese grater. And just make sure you don't slice off your knuckles. And then carefully get all the butter out of there. And it might stick to itself a little bit, but that's okay. We're going to just add it to the flour and stir it around. We're going to try and separate it as best we can. I don't know if it's because it's vegan butter, but it was a little bit stickier than the non-vegan butter that they used in the original recipe, but everything turned out great. If it is a little bit clumpy, you can go ahead and break up those bigger pieces with a pastry cutter like that. And now what we're going to do is we're going to throw this bowl in the freezer for about 10 minutes. You really want to keep your vegan butter nice and cold so it doesn't melt. And then after it's been chilling in the freezer for about 10 minutes, we're going to make a well in the center. And then we're going to add in our vegan buttermilk. It's nice and thick now. And then after that, the original recipe, they say to stir this 15 times because it's very important not to under or overwork your dough. And I found that the dough got a little dry, so I had to add in about 2 tablespoons more of my milk. And you know, I'm not a biscuit master, but it turned out good anyways. I don't know if I'm underworking or overworking the dough, but regardless, these turned out great. So I did something right, I suppose. So after you have your dough nice and mixed up, we're going to dump it onto a floured work surface, and we're just going to shape it into a rough rectangle like this. Get a rolling pin. And as you can see here, I did add probably a little bit too much liquid because my dough is quite sticky, but that's all right. What we're going to do is just get a little bit more flour on top of there, and that's going to fix it. And what we're going to do now is we're just going to roll it out and then fold it over itself like you just saw me do. And we're going to do that 5 times, and that's going to help create those nice flaky sort of layers. So just continue to roll this out and fold it over itself. I think I said 5 times. 5 times is what worked for me. And depending on how thick and big you want your biscuits, you're going to want to use a different size cookie cutter, and you're going to want to roll it to a different size thickness. But for me, I rolled them to about 3/4 of an inch, as you can see here. And then I'm using a 3.5 inch cookie cutter as well, and that rendered out about 6 biscuits plus 1 little nub biscuit that we're going to show a little bit later. And you do want to flour up your cookie cutter as well so it doesn't stick. I only did it once, but it seemed to be okay through all of these. And once you got your biscuits punched out, use that excess dough, and you're just going to re-roll that. And then you're going to get out as many biscuits as possible. And once you got all your biscuits punched out, line a baking sheet with some parchment paper. And make sure that they're touching like I got them there. That's going to help them rise. Bake them at 475 degrees Fahrenheit for about 10 minutes. Take them out, and then we're going to get some melted vegan butter, and we're just going to brush the tops of them. And this is going to do 2 things. 1, it's going to make it taste better because butter makes everything taste better. And 2, it's going to help it brown a little bit better as well. So bake that for another 5 to 8 minutes or until they look something like this. Brush on some more of that vegan butter because why not? And then I have this little baby biscuit on the left here that I wanted to use as a little taste test just to make sure they turned out good. I was burning my fingers, but I didn't care. And I mean, just look at that. It's beautiful. And if you've never made biscuits before, I really, really highly recommend giving this a shot. It's a lot easier than you might think, and it's totally worth it. Much, much better than those, frozen canned biscuits that you get sometimes. So let them rest on a wire rack. And I'm just gonna go ahead and break apart one of the bigger biscuits just to show you what this looks like. And man, oh man, that thing was so good. I was telling myself I wasn't gonna eat this. You know, I was gonna wait till I make the finished sandwich, but I totally ate it. I couldn't help myself. They were so good. They don't even need butter. They're probably better with a little bit of butter. I mean, they're basically half butter, but you know, more butter the better. Now on to the fried chicken, and I'm using my trusty friend Gardein here. You could use whatever you like. I'm using these strips, and I think I got about 7 of those strips and just thawed them and mashed them. You do want to thaw them either in the fridge overnight, or you could leave them out on the countertop for about an hour or so. You just want them to be, you know, pliable and malleable enough that you can form a patty like I have here. And I got about 3 patties out of 1 bag. So let those hang out in the fridge for a while we put our dredging station together. So we're going to do another bit of the vegan buttermilk. And one trick that I learned was after you mix up your apple cider vinegar and your plant milk, and I think I put some hot sauce in here. Did I not put hot sauce? There we go. There's good old Frank's. So after you whisk it, go ahead and throw it in the fridge. For some reason, science, when you chill this in the fridge, it gets a lot thicker than if you just leave it on the countertop like I usually do. So this was a cool little trick that I learned on accident. And now we're going to get a bit of flour and a bit of cornstarch, followed by a little bit of baking powder and some Cajun seasoning. You can use whatever seasoning you like. Personally, I like using these kind of pre-mixed seasonings because a lot of times in fried chicken recipes, it's like 11, 12, 13, 28 spices, and it just takes a long time, and I'm very lazy, so I prefer doing it this way. Give that a whisk, and then we're going to add in our vegan buttermilk that's been chilling in the fridge. And next, all we got to do is dredge our chicken. So do a double dredge, first in the wet, then in the dry, and then just repeat, shaking off the excess in between. You just want to make sure that you get it all nice and coated. And then what we're going to do is we're actually going to store these in the fridge for another 10 minutes while we heat up our oil. So I recommend an oil like peanut or canola or vegetable. You don't want to use olive oil. And then we're going to just drop one of those dudes in there, and we're going to fry it up for about 5 minutes or so, or until it looks something like that, golden brown, and just begging you to eat it. And then let that rest on the wire rack with your biscuits. And now all we got to do is put together the coveted honey butter. And for this, you can use vegan honey if you can find some like me. I found this stuff on Etsy. It's a little pricey. You can also make it yourself. I'll leave a link in the description for a vegan honey recipe. You can also use agave, which will come together in a pinch, as well as some maple syrup. Now, will this taste like honey? No. Will it still be super freaking delicious? Absolutely. So do whatever you like. Whatever you got on hand is going to work. And mix in about ½ cup of room temperature vegan butter with about ¼ cup of whatever vegan honey. Give that a mix, and if you want to, you can heat it up so that it will do something like this. If you want to be, you know, dramatic and do this kind of fun sort of drizzling. Otherwise, you could just spread it on your biscuit and eat it like a boring berry. But, you know, who's boring berry? I just made that person up. I don't know who they are. Regardless, however you put on your honey butter, it's going to be delicious. And I mean, just look at this thing. It is, without a doubt, one of the best things I've eaten. I can't even, since forever. It's just one of the best things I've ever eaten in my entire life. I mean, you've got this amazing biscuit, fried chicken, and honey butter. You know, everyone is a star on this one. It's like an amazing power trio, and I really think you all should give this recipe a try. If you do, let me know how it went. Tag me in your photos on Instagram, and I'll see you all next week.